Hey everyone, welcome to episode 5 of Building My Trike. This week I got in the mail my rear flashing light. I was going to install a few LEDs like in a line up here and have a full custom setup with a flasher circuit in the bike and then a circuit so when I put the brakes on it went to a solid light instead of just flashing. But that was a lot of effort and I couldn't find any LEDs that were bright enough to be good enough as a flashing light and visible at all. Like they were just not bright enough. And there's really no need to have a brake light. Like I should probably, but like realistically, like as long as cars give me the 3 second distance, then there shouldn't be any worries, and I reckon they will anyway because like I'm a big pink bubble on the road, so I don't think that'd be getting too close up my ass. So what I'm gonna do is, well, this thing came with like little attachment points and this little elastic band, so I'm gonna cut holes in the bike. Just cut a slot here and I can feed that through, and then this is designed to go over a seat post which is pretty much the exact same diameter as this radius here, so that'll sit literally perfect right there. And if it doesn't quite sit right, I'll just put a bit of silicone just to hold it in place better. But this is pretty bright. That's the group ride, I think they call this setting. Then the flash, solid, and then back to the group ride. Oh no, there's another flash. Okay, there's 2 types of flashes. Straight flash, yeah. So it's got some range to it. You can see it all the way over there. I think it was like 400 lumens, which is pretty bloody bright. So 400? I can't remember. I'll put the specs up. But that's my aim for this afternoon. I've siliconed the rear camera in and put a dollop of silicone on the inside. Just there. So I'm just waiting for that to set, and then I can start looming up the cables and neatening up a little bit better. Actually, while I'm here, I'll plug it in and show you what it looks like. There you go, that's a view. Hello. Just cut the holes for the rubber band. It's a bit hard to do with one hand. Get in there. There we go. That's like perfect fit. I've sanded these edges too, so there's not much pressure on that cutting surface there. So now I'll put it on. Oh, and it's just out of the vision of the camera too. Pretty much perfect. The USB charge port is on the bottom, so I think what I'll do is I'll silicone it in place because I just like the reliability of silicone. It's super strong. You'd be amazed how sticky and resistant to like peeling away something is just with like a few dollops of silicone. But it's still easy to peel off when you want to, like if you pick away at it or like with a screwdriver or something, but it won't just fall off. So I think what I'll do is I'll silicone it in around here, even on the gap, so it doesn't get water in it, and just leave it permanently mounted to the bike, and every time it runs out of battery and it needs a charge, I'll just come along and plug it. The USB lead they give you, it's only like 100 mil, but I'll plug it into that, into a USB power supply, and then just like your phone power supply, and then just run an extension lead out to a power point. This has been sitting like this overnight. Silicon is now hard and the light's firmly in place, it's not going anywhere. And the silicon for the little camera is also good. So I've run the wires up the roof, and yesterday I put the hood on the bike and sat in it and then positioned the camera where it looks good. I had the camera running at the time, so I knew exactly what I was seeing. Make sure the reflection on the screen is good, because if you tilt it at like an angle a little bit, the colors tend to go all funny. So what I got now is a bit of carbon that I had lying around, and I've got the magnets holding it in place with a bit of glue. So that's going to sit, and then I've got a bracket on the camera, and then I'll just glue that to the other bit when it's dry, and then hold it in place with magnets as well. I've laid some glass over this foam and it's pretty much dry. It's still a little bit tacky enough that you can trim it with a razor blade, and I've glued it into the bottom of the bike, and now all I need to do is cut some carbon, and then I'll vacuum form this one on, and then I can make a mold and I can figure out how I'm going to position this other side. So if I vacuum form this on first, I might have something to like prop this up against while it while I glue it in place, because when I make a mold I'll have to sand it back so this is flush with this. So yeah, this might be able to, might have to prop it up like that while I glue it in place, and then I can vacuum form the mold, the part that I make, in place. Just cut a little bit of unidirectional carbon, so I'll use that for the main bit, and then on the ends I'll just put some patches of plain weave just to tie that into the end and into the part on the bottom. For anyone who's interested in building of any sort, neodymium magnets are the absolute best. You can see how small they are. They're like 10 mil, not even that. And I'm going through 2 layers of Kevlar and fiberglass, and then like 5 mil foam, and then another 5 mil of carbon, and the magnet is still holding on with that much force. It is unbelievable. Just laid some carbon over that bit of foam that I was telling you about yesterday, and now I'm about to put the electric blanket on to keep it warm, because it's just pissed down rain, it's getting a bit cold, so that'll speed up the fast cure resin and get it tacky a lot quicker, so then I don't have to run the vacuum continuous, because it's not holding the best vacuum. These cranks here are off my training recumbent under there, my high racer. So they are a 155mm long crank with a 130 BCD, and the 2 chain rings I have are 130 BCD, but I would also like to use this crank for the other bike. So what I've done is I've bought another set of cranks, and they are 170mm long, and if you look on the edge, it's quite flat for quite a long way. And what we do in the recumbent community is we drill a hole wherever we would like the new crank length to be. So I've done this multiple times on multiple bikes, and what I would like is to have the cranks to be 140mm, exactly like my old Streamliner, which then means the bottom bracket can go up 15 more mil higher to suit these new to suit the new cranks compared to the old ones. So that'll bring the bottom bracket higher, match better to the positioning of that bike, and it'll also mean that I'll have a similar position, but pedaling stroke, which means I've got more room at the bottom for my heels as well. So I've ordered a new set of cranks that are 170mm long, and I'll just drill and tap a new hole for them. So hopefully that comes sometime this week. See how we go. The camera is mounted into the bike, and now I've just got to bring some wire home from work to wire the rear indicators up. But for now, it looks pretty good. Oh, that doesn't look good. There we go. The mold for the chain idlers is finished. Put some body filler over it to even it out. And I've just got a coat of spray on varnish just to gloss it off. So when I put the release agent on, it's a nice smooth finish. Both indicators and the screen, along with the camera down the end, are now wired into the bike with enough spare wire to run it to pretty much anywhere I desire into the bike. I had to extend this little bit here that's going to go down to the front support because it was too short, because I'm stupid and I cut it too short. And I'm also going to raise the bottom bracket up because I'm getting a new cranks and I'm repositioning it going as far back as possible as well. So yeah, I'm going to lay some glass over that. I'll just neaten the edges up, just round them off, and then lay some glass over it so it's nice and stiff for when I vacuum form. Because you can see on the end how it's gone all a little bit wavy. It would have gone a lot worse if it wasn't wrapped in that first layer of glass. That foam would have just crushed down to absolutely nothing. Just got my rear hub in the mail. Looks pretty sick. I've gone with a 12mm through axle design, so I can just drill a hole in the side of the rear of a bike and slot it in, and then tighten it up, so I don't have to have any quick release dropouts or anything. And I've also gone with a disc hub. I was recommended not to, because when you have a disc just on the back wheel, you can lock it up and skid sideways and end up crashing easy. But I'm only going to be using the disc for times when I'm taking it slow in braking. So if I'm coming up to a red light or something, I'm just going to use the disc brake to slow down, because I don't want to save the front brakes for the heavy stuff. And it is a 32 hole to match the 32 hole rear rim that I've got. So now I can start doing the calculations for the spoke measurements and either cut some spokes that I already have or order some new ones, and then organise getting it put together. So what I've got here is my mould that I've laid in the PVA release agent, and then I've marked out the center of where the idlers are going to go, and I made these little pieces with the aluminium insert, so when I bolt through there'll be some material to tap into and some material to support the other side. And I've just glued that onto the PVA for now, so that'll still pop off if I wanted to once the whole thing's formed. But what I'm going to do is I've got it in place here, so now I can lay the carbon over over the top and then vacuum form that on, and that'll bond into this little insert here. It'll bond in quite well, I imagine. And then when I pop the whole thing out, that'll be fused into it. So, and it'll be completely flush with the rest of the surfaces. So what I'm going to do now is mark out on this sheet of, I think it's fiberglass. It was just at work. It was like what they use for switchboards back in the day or something. So I'm going to mark out where I'm going to put the vacuum bag and use this as like a vacuum surface. And then I'll put the tacky tape around, and then I'll put just the packaging tape, which has been working really well actually. I used to put like a release agent on it or the Teflon tape, but that packing tape is just a godsend. It's like the next level that I've discovered. So yeah, it's just so easy. You just lay the tape down and peel it off when you're finished, and the carbon and resin don't stick to it at all. So yeah, I'll mark out where I'm gonna put the bag, and then tape, and then make a bag for it. I might make a new bag because I want this to be like proper. I don't want it to be any holes in it. And then I'll use slow cure resin just so I've got more working time on laying it up, and then I'll pull a vacuum and leave it for a day. Put the part under vacuum, just watching the gauge to make sure it's holding. It's not holding, so I've got to find the leak with the ultrasonic detector. It could be something tiny. I'm going to put heat on it so tacky tape gets a little bit more tacky, and then hopefully the edges will seal a bit better. There was one tiny little mishap over here where it didn't line up, but I reckon if I massage it, I'll find the leak. It could even be in the top here where the gland is. But yeah, it should be alright. I can just keep the vacuum on for an hour till it starts to go off. But it's looking pretty good. Also, a lot of the time when you have a part that has air in it, the foam has air in it, the gauge won't read full vacuum because you can't, well, I don't know the exact reason, but I'm assuming it's because it can't suck all the air out of the foam, so you can only hit a certain vacuum, but it still pulls down fine. Last night I laced my hub into my rim and just put the gears on for now and the brake. That looks pretty good. I like the look of the oil slick hub. It looks pretty sick. And I've just taken the idler carbon fiber bit out of a mold. I had to destroy the mold to get it out, unfortunately. But I'm never going to use it again, so that's okay. You can see how good the finish is on the inside. It's just glass and it's super strong. It's probably like 200 and something grams, so it's pretty heavy, but I wanted it to be rigid, so the chain line, there's no flex in it, and it's like super strong in this direction. So I'm gonna let that dry off because I had to brush the release agent off it. I see some blue on the paintbrush. So that'll do it for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. What I'll be doing is installing that and trimming it up a little bit, and then I've got my hinge for the lid as well, so I'm going to bolt that on and then get the lid all hinged up and working properly, and then I can start figuring out the seat angle. So once I got the wheel, the spokes tightened up nice, I'll put that in place and figure out the seat angle, so then I can start working on how I'm going to attach the wheel to the subframe made. The subframe bit that I've already got in the bike. So, see you on next week's episode.